one of those maps has to be installed the way that they did the servers, network code, and everything. Each one of those is going to increase total like footprint of the game, and I don't think they really support it all that well because each time we add something, it's here, but they end up kind of rounding it out with stuff. But maybe if they just spend more time on the maps.
I'll go ahead and fire up here. All right, so welcome everyone, Satyrs, FBJs, and mine stream. This is our 11th CW Roundtable. We have with us tonight PandoBox from First H, an FRR unit. And he brought along a compadre of his, Bud Crew. So we have a couple visitors with us this evening. And just to start everything off, I'll let Pando give a quick little spiel about First H and basically kind of any information he wants everyone to know about their unit and where to find them.
We're a loyalist Brosselhog unit, FRR. We've been around for quite a little while. I've been leader for a while. We switched it back and forth quite a few times, but not really a whole lot. We're both casual and competitive. It's kind of an interesting thing. We have a full domain. It's just firsthussers.com, so it's pretty easy to find. We were even supposed to do a theme night tonight, but this is funner, but I can still kind of do it at the same time, but it was supposed to be Team America. I don't know if I said, the whole thing, but
we do some kind of funny things from.
Sometimes. Yeah, it's actually on our front page of our website right now.
That's kind of funny.
I don't know. Are they going to attack me for using the meme?
Yeah. The idea was to bring the biggest gun-toting mechs you could think of.
So what's the current size of your unit?
We're about, I think, 75 to 80, and I just cleaned up the roster, so that's real numbers. But since we're casual and competitive, we're only going to have a max of people online at any given time, like the busiest possible time.
So I know you all are a component of the FRR hub over there. What do you think of the organization level of the FRR units? Are you pro, con, the rallying of all those units, or how do you feel about that?
I think it's good. The units are very different, and they still kind of retain and have their own space to do their own thing. But it's good that we're organized and we're trying to do things all together, like stormtroopers and such, and other stuff like that.
Because in a way, the way the FRR hub is constructed, it's kind of like a pseudo kind of way Mercstar is, just without one unified tag. The way everyone kind of works together.
Interviews for a moment because Panzer is here.
Don't worry, I muted him already. Continue.
By the way, he's the one that was on our server when Ross came over to visit.
Nice. Yeah, we have our own little history with him from
this
our
guy will
Brawlapalooza.
Victory, I promise.
So all right. Well, that's. Are you actively recruiting? If people are looking for units, or are you kind of exclusive invite only? Like, is there a?
No, it's active, and we don't necessarily recruit because we try to get people that really want to join, like the FR, like the Loyalist Hub there, and pick people up off the TeamSpeak because it seems like we keep those members for longer. A lot of people that we bring in from somewhere else. Sorry, Panzer here. I can still hear him. I'm going to mute him too. Hold on. Rarely. He's okay sometimes when he's not being a star captain.
Star Captain Major.
Totally threw my train of thought with that talking. Yeah, but yeah, we're a loyalist unit. We're looking for new people, that maybe don't always want to be super competitive, but want to have that option. So that's maybe what's different about our unit. Some of them you don't have to be competitive, but if you want to be, you can.
So what's your activity? What's your activity level for your group like?
Like I said, we probably don't have more than like a single 12-man. If we do, we play a lot of public. But we have played a lot of CW in the past, and we may move back to that. But we play a lot of public games also.
Okay. So your initial impressions of Phase 3 are fill in the blank.
Target destroyed.
Good. Like scouting a lot.
Acquired.
I'm curling around the other side. We've got a grasshopper behind us or something now. Is it Orion? What is it?
The Highlander, India.
The heavy metal. It's a Highlander. Oh, it was.
So far you've been having a good experience with Phase 3 as compared to Phase 2, however. Compared to Phase 2. Like, has anything changed really for you since Phase 2? Or is it pretty much the same? Like, well, what are the aspects other than, say, scouting that you enjoy?
Critical damage.
Give me one moment. Okay, there we go.
Right
I was
arm
base tanking a
destroyed.
Highlander.
Left torso.
I think it's
critical
been better,
damage.
but it's mainly the scouting.
Heat level critical.
So, do you think scouting, basically what we got from scouting, was worth the time that it took to actually develop the entire patch? Or do you think it was something that could have been added incrementally as time progressed?
Airstrike.
I think it's good, and it's a good step, and I think we should add more stuff like it, because it's the closest we could get to something like Planet Side, where it was more like what we were talking about a little bit earlier, what was like persistent maps and some of the other features that don't exist in other multiplayer games. It gives you more options.
It kind of...
I think it's more like
Target.
MechWarrior lore, honestly.
It's kind of been fitting in like with the general consensus that most people have had, even from us when we were first doing our scouting, our first impression of scouting while on our last land roundtable where we didn't have a guest. It pretty much everyone seems to have a good feeling when it comes to the scouting missions. Like nobody hates it. Nobody thinks it was a bad idea.
No, it's very fun. It's definitely a fun mode too. You can bring something derpy, and because it's only 4 mechs, it actually works out sometimes.
I think scouting is the best thing that's happened to this game in the last year.
So let me ask you, because I have my own personal feelings about scouting. Do you feel that it actually draws away from the effort that it takes to conquer a planet, or do you think it actually contributes to actually easing the conquering of a planet? Like, does it actually have an influence one way or the other?
I need a band-aid.
I don't think it makes... Yeah. Go ahead, Panda.
So, what are you asking again?
He's asking whether you feel like...
Do you think it actually makes a difference as to whether or not a planet is more easily taken, or it's more difficult to be taken, or is it really just kind of a nice side thing that gives you maybe a little bit more information? Or basically, is it contributory to the actual invasion matches?
Well, it's good because if the planet's more difficult to take, then a lot of the people in this game that are a higher level will strive for that instead of doing, other stuff that might be, a scouting type mission. They're more focused on the invasion or the other global goal, and allows other people to play those other different mission parts. Scouting.
Well, actually, Xavier, let me
you can focus on both. But...
Xavier, let me give you the way I see it when it comes to the scoutings is it seems like scouting doesn't matter until long toms. So if I'm fighting and I'm leading a 12-man, I'm not going to change pretty much anything I do up until the point that long toms come into play. And at that point, I'm breaking up my 12-man to go get rid of the long toms. Because I don't care if they can...
more of a challenge is good.
Well, is it more of a challenge,
challenge is
though?
good.
Because, like I said, scanning plus you knowing my mechs doesn't change anything, except maybe I won't use a light rush on Emerald Taiga when I'm holding it. Because it doesn't matter to me that you know where I am, because the maps aren't designed in a way that you...
Where you can technically be evasive.
Right. So,
Right, they're not big enough.
well, it's not that they're not big enough, it's that they're so funnily that
They're
there
mobile
are...
maps.
Oh, well, the problem is there's no
Well,
options. When
I was
the
just
option
thinking of-
is A or B, and
Right,
then...
I was just thinking of Caustic, where we've had some matches where the satellite is overhead and everyone worries about, okay, we're in the middle. Well, so what? Just go left or right once we know where they're coming from. It still doesn't matter. If the map was bigger, I think that might be a little different.
Well, like I
But
said,
again,
I think
that's
it's
not
less.
policy.
I think it's less related to size and more related to options. Since there's so little options when it comes to many CW maps,
Right.
then it's like
Perhaps they should go forward with putting upgrades to planets as opposed to the MC bonus or something.
the
So
scouting
after
missions.
you've got it, it's easier to keep.
Well, what do you mean exactly?
So after you've actually attacked and obtained a planet and gone all the way through the thing and gotten your tag on it, then you obtain some ownership and can spend that MC on retaining that planet and making it easier to keep.
We technically
This is
already
one of the future
can
ones.
do that because we can already
You can
increase
add
the.
the slots
you can
real
add the
quick.
slots, but the question we were speaking to was more of, does scouting make a difference? Whereas I feel like it doesn't until the long tom.
Yeah, I agree.
And even the long tom, all that really does is just scare population away until the long tom disappears.
Right, but that means that
Yeah.
the long toms are important though, because regardless of whether it scares people away or not, once I get long toms, if it results in me winning the planet in a boring way or otherwise, it doesn't matter. It succeeded in winning the planet, so you can't diminish that.
I agree with what you're saying there, but if the long tom is causing people to not play CW, isn't that a problem? Forgetting
Yes.
about its gameplay mechanism.
I would agree with that statement wholeheartedly, and that's kind of where I was going with this. That was going to lead me into my next question.
was speaking
Yeah, I
it-
don't
I
even
would-
care about the long tom as a game mechanism. What I do care about is wait times, and I really fear for the future of MechWarrior Online if they're putting in game mechanisms that cause casual players, maybe not the the good players, but people like me to go, I don't want to play this. It's just going to be a stomp.
Well,
Why
let me-
should I bother?
Let me tell you,
And I'm in a unit.
I'd like to.
What about
I'd like to
people
be
who aren't even in
clear
it?
when it comes to MS's stance on long toms. When we have them, we hate them. We
When we don't
absolutely
have them, we hate them.
When we don't have them, we hate them, and when we are the ones who went and got them and then drop on planets using them, we hate them. We think they're not fun. They take away from our getting our own money, and they're just not fun. So we get them. So the reason we get them is because we can't let you have them. But that doesn't mean we like them, because we really don't. That's the general consensus I've gotten, anyway.
Yeah, and you'll find many times in MS where I actually complain to the groups that are scouting because they scout too long and get the long toms, and I'll tell them they should have stopped a long time ago.
I don't mind them. I think it causes kind of a random different element where it forces people not to group up for a moment, and I think that's what his whole purpose is something that forces people not to group up, because I think when Russ watches games or something, that it frustrates him that everybody just gets in a ball and gets close together. I
Right,
think
but
that has to be
tactically
attacked
speaking,
possibly in a different way.
though, weakening another group, because here's how my last match that I remember specifically that I drop commanded with long toms. We were in Hellbore, we were attacking, we had long toms. Every
Yikes.
time the long toms
Fine, watch
dropped,
it.
their team, and I look, the long tom and the scan would come in, right? And I would look at the map and I would see their entire team spread out, which you would be like, yeah, that's how you deal with long toms. But I had my team would be grouped up, and as soon as the scan went off, and I saw who was spread out and who was closest, it wasn't about the long toms anymore. It was just wait for the scan, know they're spread out, roll over the closest spread out enemy, and it just totally results in a loss for the other team because they can't group up to protect each other. Which is to say, as I said,
One of the
don't get rid of your long. By that time, I would have. If long toms were against me, my first order of business is to drop my 12-man and get everybody into 4-mans and get rid of them.
right.
So then it floods the scout queue and everyone plays scout for a while.
Right. Which I mean is not a bad thing. When I mean it's just I don't know whether long toms deciding a game when the first.
Jeez, too generous.
I like the first two elements of the long tom because they do influence it a little bit, but they don't decide the game. Where long toms decide the game a lot of the time.
Yep. To me, it just seems like the long tom is a really good idea that somebody had of, wow, we can have this immersion, we can do this scout mode to make it worth something, but they didn't think through the consequence of what it would do to a casual player, which, like it or not, is what we need to attract if we want this game to survive.
Which is odd because they put a lot of focus into the casual player for Phase 3.
Yeah, I totally agree.
They even tried to break out the solo non-unit queue specifically for them, and they didn't even show
Yeah,
up.
how well did that work?
Yeah, which
Again, they didn't think it through.
like anyone who played Community Warfare for any length of time could have told you that that wasn't going to work. And everyone we interviewed knew it wasn't going to.
Yep, and I think
Except
that's
it
a
worked
big problem.
backwards. Like my gripe was that it actually ended up being backwards. I thought that it was the units who wouldn't be able to find matches, and as it turns out, it was the solos who couldn't find matches.
Just got annihilated.
Like I was totally of the mind that it was going to be the units who were going to have trouble finding matches after Phase 3 came in and the solo queues were split out, and it turns out it's the solo queues who couldn't find matches. But I guess I underestimated the amount of people that were in small 1 to 2 man units.
Well, no, people made a bunch of one-man solo units just for Phase 3 because they couldn't get matches as a non-unit player.
Just to escape that solo queue, I
boredom.
guess. I mean, like, you know,
I think our entire player population is closer to like maybe 8 to 10,000 players, give or take, however many with the fluctuations and stuff. I think that's about all we actually have in this game.
Well, so it's interesting because now that we have pilot boards, you can actually find out
here's the
how many
interesting.
players we have.
Now
So
here's the thing where I'm
So
playing
I'm
devil.
down to 10,000. I'm down to 10,000, and people have actually played. Let's go to 15. Okay, 15,000's empty.
Yeah, does it say an everybody thing? Oh yeah, because it shows everyone. It shows it right there for
My
at least.
client just
basketball
crashed.
there.
I'll be right back.
Okay, that's fine.
Now here's the thing, Xavier. The other thing that I found was kind of wrong. You guys realize that the amount of people needed to fill all the queues when the queues were split was about 640 people, I believe.
Yep, and that's to have one match going in every
One
queue
match
on
for
planet.
every queue. One match for every queue for an attack and a defense phase.
Let's check channel chat.
Thing that you can't really, that I don't think we can field 24/7 all the time, based on the loyalist stuff.
Oh, yeah, that actually is a good point by Tact. He said, remember that mercs had to be in units. So if you wanted to play the merc role, and you
Oh,
wanted the rewards, you had to have a one-man unit in order to qualify for the rewards.
really?
Right.
Yeah.
Yep. A lot of people on the forums are really up in arms about that.
So they okay. So
Oh, I'm sorry.
that almost leads perfectly into what I was thinking before. Did it ever occur to you guys? Like, we like to shit on Russ a lot, but did it ever occur to you guys that maybe he actually set it up to fail?
Yes.
The solo queue, you mean?
Yeah, he may have
Yes.
actually set it up to fail on purpose.
There's been a couple of forum posts about that very issue.
Back
So-
again, Xavier.
Okay, so I'll send you an invite. So I'm going to make an interlude here real quick. I scrolled all the way down through the leaderboards, and for Merc pilots, and this is just Merc pilots, there is 10,402 pilots that have dropped and played at least one faction warfare game since Phase 3 started.
That's more than I would have thought.
And that's just Merc pilots. That doesn't count loyalists.
Right.
Let me look.
I didn't know that you could not join a merc without being a unit, though. That's that to me is a red flag. Ooh, when did you hear about that, Xavier?
Well, Tact brought the point up. If you look
Oh.
in TeamSpeak,
Are we 100%
FBJ?
sure about that was the case?
Oh yeah, there's been numerous threads in the forum about this very issue from day one.
Wow. We're
That doesn't make any sense. Why would they? I mean, like, that to me
21st,
right there, that to me points to he wanted it to fail because that would have. Who wants to be a freelancer? You would never get any
That's
extra
a little
rewards.
Machiavellian. I am so negative after that last town hall that I just think he doesn't care anymore.
Last town hall, I don't personally. So I haven't enjoyed any town halls. Like, so I'm gonna speak as a negative person straight up because I don't.
Here comes negative Nance.
I have not
Hey, guys.
enjoyed any of the town halls because all the town halls have been crap. The last town hall, Russ didn't want to be there. I don't even know why they did it.
It was terrible.
It was to announce the night gear.
Right, the Night Gyrer, by the way, that is the official pronunciation according to my stream.
But
So-
even that was so half-assed at the end, you know? I mean,
Yeah.
it wasn't like with enthusiasm. It was like, oh yeah, here's this MechWarrior
Alright.
cat. You know,
So, on
you
a
know.
side note, for the Loyalist pilots, there are 12,686 pilots that have dropped at least one game.
Just 24,000
Since the beginning.
pilots?
23,000-ish pilots that have played at least one faction warfare game, either between Merc or Loyalist pilots.
I'm actually shocked that the
was-
Loyalists are a greater number.
Yeah. Seems
Espe-
less than that to me.
Especially considering the fact that no one has earned any Merc rewards, and they would be really easy to grab right away.
I wonder what
That's
the
weird.
turnover is on pilots.
I don't know. The one thing the leaderboard doesn't show you is how many of those pilots have maybe played a week as a Loyalist and in a week as a Merc. So I'm assuming there is probably some crossover there.
Oh, do you think it showed both of them? Like, you could find a person who can verify that they have played both sides and see if we can find them on both leaderboards?
Oh, I guarantee you they're on both boards. I guarantee it.
So, so let's just put that to chat.
Benzino
Is
around here?
anybody
Yeah, try to
i-
think of a
is
percentage.
anybody in chat? Can anybody in chat tell us whether you've played a Loyalist or a Merc at the same, or not at the same time, but at least
In
both of
back-to-back.
them?
Yeah.
And see if we can find you on the leaderboard for both leaderboards, because I want to know whether they remove you or whether you're not there.
I have a feeling the solo pilot remains.
Because in that case, it makes it a little bit inaccurate. You can only look at one of them, really.
Yeah, but then not everyone's going to be a crossover, so you have to guess at a percentage of how many people you think are hopping back and forth.
I wouldn't even begin to guess that percentage.
And still, having said that, we know the number is somewhere around, let's say, 13,000 and 23,000. That even 13,000, in my opinion, is more than I would have thought at this point in time. What are we, 3 weeks into this now?
Well, yeah, but
13,000 unique pilots over a 3-week period?
it just shows that there's a lot of potential that is not being met because we have the numbers to play a really complex faction warfare. We just don't have the mechanisms to allow for it.
See, if anything, that number actually makes me more depressed at the lower numbers in the queue that I'm seeing right now, knowing the total aggregate number of people that have participated.
Reactor online. Sensors online. Weapons online. All
So-
systems nominal.
As far as scouting goes, that seems to be
Oh.
like we said, back to your comment, scouting seems
But,
to have been
hey-
the general consensus of a good thing.
Look at the unit sizes though as an indicator too, because aren't you guys the biggest unit in the game? And then
No, not
No.
even close.
350 or something?
We're not even in
Oh.
the top 5.
And that's why we do
Well,
these
you're
round
350.
tables.
Yep, but we're not
So
even in
if
the
you
top
take
5.
a unit,
Swole,
but
Swole,
what's the top 5? Or something?
Swole. No, Swole's actually like if they have 2 units, and they have maxed out 512 at one, and they have 300 and some in the other. They're like 900 people.
Okay. Because I'm
In one
looking,
unit.
like if you let's take the top 100 units out of both queues and then do a count on that, and that's your solid player base right there. That'd be a good indicator.
that would probably be a better indicator, yes.
I think 100
then
would be a
again-
bit much.
But see, then again, I mean, yeah, we're 350 people, but out of those 350, the most we can get rolling on average is probably 3 12-mans a night.
New target
So,
acquired.
And maybe
Yeah.
2 3 scouts.
That's
or so,
definitely
so you're
top
talking
end.
maybe
That's
50 players in a
definitely
night.
top end. More
Yeah,
likely 2.
And that's what I'm saying. That's why I'm stretching top end there. So, having said that, I mean, you have to have 350 people to get a 50-player turnout.
What's your guys' turnout,
Yeah.
actually? That's a good point. Since you guys have around 70 people, you said that you can field about one,
You,
right?
you can get one 12-man, which would basically be on about the same level as us for
Yeah.
participation rate.
I mean, so it's not too bad when you get, and then it just depends, with us, because we're more casual a lot of times, we'll get 5 people that are totally derpy, and if we have, 7 really good players there, so it's hard, for, like us to always be totally organized in that situation. That's another thing to talk about, too, is that, MS is very organized, and that's a good. There's positive aspects to both, because I think probably we're able to pay attention to a lot of our pilots a lot, whereas you guys might
Crap.
lose people for that.
Well, no, we actually have a really robust training program. Like, it's
Yeah.
one of the things we're actually really good at, is our
we
ability to
actually
take
have a
care
whole
of
unit
our.
committed to training.
And a lot of our training pilots are incorporated. It is true. Our most of our problem actually has to do with our older pilots who are a little bit burned out on the fact that Phase 3 didn't
pan out to be what we expected it to
Yes.
be.
Yeah,
Base is being
Imagine that.
slightly anticlimactic.
like things like, okay, so actually definitely want to bring one thing up. So for instance, I was about to say that we recruited rather a lot of people. We brought in somewhere in the range of 20 to 30 people on the day of Phase 3, despite costs. How have the
Yeah,
costs
despite costs.
affected you?
How many shots did that guy take? Sorry.
Like, how have the costs, the measures that were put in, we feel personally that were targeted at us, how have they hurt you, if at all?
destroyed.
Nice
Has
shot,
it-
Pando.
Has it made you second guess recruiting, or go on different ways to increase unit funds in order to get people added to the unit?
Like, how have you guys handled that?
Yeah, what do you? I think that would be more effective on you guys because you're just a larger unit. Shit, there's a total.
Wasn't
necessary-
effective at all.
It hasn't stopped us. We had over
Gonna
a
wreck
billion
me.
C-bills when Phase 3 started, and we're at 750 million. Or, yeah.
Not to mention the payouts of Phase 3. Pretty much the only good thing for us, the payouts of Phase 3 have been so high, we can easily afford.
I mean, I don't know if you've seen the boards or not, but we've made over $2 billion in just contract bonuses alone in a little under 3 weeks. So the funding thing that was originally designed to hamper large units from getting larger is not really hampering us from getting larger.
I took like no damage.
We feel it's actually hurting the smaller units.
Look at all for you.
It was kind of expensive. We had the bonus of having one member donate like
I'll take a shot in
150
the mouth to get it.
million C-bills to our coffer a long time ago, but so we had a good base to start with as a smaller unit.
Have you felt that the
I
costs
think
have
being
been...
loyalists too. A lot of people give more, and so it's not that big a deal.
Yeah.
Are you surprised at us hearing it say that it didn't really affect the larger units to the extent that Russ
I
wanted
am.
it to? Because it barely touches us. In fact, we've got people who are willing to pay their way into the unit.
I mean, I'm sitting on 242 million C-bills that I can do anything with at any point in time.
Yeah, I don't know what he was thinking, because with all the talk before Phase 3, how he wanted to, reduce you guys specifically, and what we ended up with, it was sort of like, from my perspective as a loyalist, did anything but affect the large mercenary units. In fact, he gave them a gift. I mean, the new
The
rewards
new mercenary
path.
reward, yeah.
I mean, it was like, really?
Not to
So
mention,
Yeah.
So we had fallen to 700 million, down from over 1 billion, and we're back up to 836 million.
Not to mention, with the changes that were made, really, Phase 3 has been viewed a lot by us as just Phase 2 with a whole lot of handcuffs placed everywhere to kind of prevent moving, to prevent growth almost. But it doesn't hurt us. It seems to, we feel like it's hurting other people more than it's hurting us, and it's not good for the game.
Yeah. Good summary right there.
Feels like almost like Mercstar has to do an apology tour to go around to say we're sorry for Russ's behavior.
Trying to control us.
Ayo.
No, I think you guys would be surprised. I mean, Xavier, I've seen you on the forums before, but I think a lot of the people who play this game know that MS and 228 and Swall and the other big units, they're not the problem.
Well, but if you listen to, like, but people constantly view, like, Russ is so focused on using us as a scapegoat for so many things that he puts in systems that are harming units like yours, or rather than units like ours. Because when it comes to recruitment, they had the split queue, the split queues when they existed. We're gonna still speak to that when they existed. How are you guys intending to recruit for your unit with the split queues in effect? Because that hampers your ability to find other people to join your unit, didn't it?
I think that's a misconception, because for many units, and maybe we're a bad example because we're on the FRR hub, we all sort of drop with each other. And so, like, I'm a former SO guy, and the reason I joined First Stage was not because they recruited me, but these are the guys I've been dropping with for the last year.
That makes sense,
it just happened
actually.
to be that most of the SO guys I wasn't around with.
I forgot about the FRR hub is established, but it's established in the same way that the our MS is established. People know the name, so they know where to go. They may not know your unit specifically, but your unit hangs out in an area to find people. But if, say, you were in another small unit and you were in, say, Liao, as with your unit, you probably would have had a lot more difficulty finding people with these split queues.
Right, and the fact that we're casual and, like, SO is casual,
It's a different
you know,
community.
maybe, it's a totally different community.
I mean, that was one
I've
of
been
the
over
things
on
that...
Chirita's not bad. Chirita as a faction can kind of freak me out sometimes on a couple of their servers because people get real serious. I had a couple people from MS actually turn me the wrong way a few times, but our unit likes to promote communication during the matches, and so if we're talking about something, sometimes we talk about nothing like we're doing now, or we're in a discussion about something else while we're playing, but we're still playing and we're still paying attention. But some people, I don't think, can't handle that when it comes to battle comms. They just want to hear only what's going on in the battle. But,
yeah, you'd be surprised how many times people we interview and they're like, I'm sorry, I don't know how you can play and talk about something not about the game.
yeah.
You should drop with us more
hold
often.
on, I'm face tanking a Highlander right now with my Centurion. Give me a moment.
No,
Earlier.
If you've ever watched any any of our Twitch streams, you'll see Mercstar very rarely talks about the actual match a lot of times. But
Target acquired.
I don't know. So, have you had, like, what has been the general consensus, like, of everyone in your unit? So, I mean, you told us what you think about scouting. Have you heard any, like, either major complaints or, like, what do you think is most lacking as far as community warfare currently is constructed?
Character, flavor.
The ability to kind of choose your map, if they can figure out, to allow us to have some sort of a lobby system, which was the original idea that the community had posed to them, so that we could choose to be on a specific map or planet and know the ground a lot better instead of this, like, obscurity.
It's a little funny that they
sort of
spent
a separate lobby system.
It's a little funny that they, refuse to allow us to choose the map while also making it if you are in the know, you know what map is coming based on the people telling you about a out of game resource for figuring out what map is what. But they punish
a lot of
smaller
the
people.
obscurity that they do causes problems in how the gameplay works out, where they obscure, how many people there are, what the real stats are, what's going on all the time. What unit is sitting on that planet? Is MS or is First H sitting on that planet right now? Do we really want to scout when they're sitting there?
Yeah, and this
Right.
somebody.
the idea that we
dropship,
the idea
not
that we
knowing
shouldn't
who
know
you're
where
gonna fight against.
and where you're going to go. Like but the funny thing is we do know where we're going to go. We look at the thing and
How
we
about-
say, "Oh, it's on sector 5. We know what map this is." But then everybody else who doesn't have this resource hanging around or has memorized the map or the sector loadouts cannot know.
Gives me a good idea. We should have that in scouting instead. Is have it so that it exposes what units are hanging out in what queues, so you can tell who you're fighting as well as whatever
there's
else.
an
So
idea.
if for a scouting bonus, another notch on the belt or whatever for the 3 different things you get.
Personally, I just think that all sectors should have the names written right out the gate for what map they are, so people know without having to do the secret bullshit that we do that lets us know what the map is 5 minutes ahead of time.
Well, do you remember before they gave us queue numbers in Phase 1? You didn't even know if there were any people on the planet to drop on it.
LRM ammo depleted.
And then,
That
the other problem is you can't get those people to stop when they should stop.
Yes, that's the other thing too. I don't know if this has ever been a problem for FRR or not, but it's been one that we've complained about quite frequently in MS. Is we'll do all this work to get a planet up to say like 80, 85, 90%, and then we'll leave and go work on something else, and then like a bunch of solos, like for us right now we're Smoke Jag, it'll be like a bunch of Wolf pilots or a bunch of like Ghost Bear pilots that are defending a Smoke Jag planet. They keep dropping on it because their people are counterattacking,
Acquired.
and they keep losing matches, and we have to go back to it and re-win the planet later in the night. There's no way to really herd the groups to where you want or need them.
New target acquired.
We have 3 left.
Now I think FRR is slightly more organized because most of your pilots in bulk are already on your TeamSpeak.
So you can get them
I don't
to
think you
stop
have.
because you say out of the entire fucking TeamSpeak, "Stop," and then people stop.
I think the FRR is even before Mech the Dane and those guys took over, we were pretty good about communicating between units, and so when we would drop at CW, it was like, okay, everybody tonight is attacking this planet. And if anything, there's actually less of that now. So
Yeah,
I
Well, yeah,
don't know.
because you only have one planet to attack.
Yeah, I mean, there's that.
So let me ask you, because this is something we haven't really talked about, because we're a merc, so we obviously don't vote where the faction we're supporting gets to attack. And I'll be honest with you, I haven't even seen the loyalist voting screen, so I don't even really know what it looks like. The loyalist voting aspect.
Useful?
Pro, con, useful, not useful?
Irrelevant.
What do you think?
Irrelevant. Ooh.
No.
It appears to us that the units that, at least within the TeamSpeak, that are the most united in the faction that we would feel should have power, but there's no way to really do this, don't, and random people that just vote appear to gain the power and go wherever they want. which
So
is
you're
always
saying
the same
FRR
as
there's
Jaguar,
not enough
apparently.
FRR control in the FRR hub to affect the vote?
Even there, yes.
Not even a little.
Wow.
We were all going to vote Steiner, and nobody votes Steiner. Everybody else who's random that's not on our main congregation for the whole faction votes something else.
Your channel
Yeah.
was edited.
In fact, I think we were going after you guys most of last week.
Yeah, FRR,
So the FRR hub is having trouble controlling the vote.
Yeah, as far as I can tell.
Yeah.
It's actually surprising. So you feel like the voting isn't helpful is almost what you're
No.
saying.
I'm not seeing it.
Because if that's actually really
What is it
interesting,
doing?
Xavier.
Is it actually picking an attack path, or I would rather that we did something with the scouting.
That's really
maps to
interesting.
make it so that you could poke into a planet that nobody could really attack unless you were scouting, and it would be sort of random or something, and that would determine what the next planet is. Is if you won the scouting there, instead of it affecting the current battle, it would be affecting the next stream of battles you would get and who you were allowed to attack, depending on how well you scouted.
Does that mean so that Xavier? You know, that almost speaks to me in a sense that the FRR hub doesn't reach as many FRR players as I thought. Because I thought that it would be fairly simple for them to control at least 50% of the vote. As it turns out, there may be far more people not even touching the FRR hub. in
The
FRR.
problem is it seems to be a random pop-up because like we were playing last night.
There's
just
at least
screwing
2
around.
fairly large units that I can say off the top of my head that never go there.
Yeah, I mean.
31st Minnesota Tribe and Usyk Regulars.
Yep.
How
But
do you
even
get to the
last night-
vote? How do you get to the vote? Like
Exactly. I don't even know. I have yet
And
to see it.
BB&J because they're German.
Oh, that's
But
interesting.
we were playing last night, and Aska Cricket, one of our leaders, said, "Hey, why can't I go any further? Oh, I gotta vote." And we were like, "Oh, I
Good
haven't even
luck.
seen it yet."
Wait.
Good luck telling the German FRR guys to vote against Steiner.
So wait a minute. Hold on.
There's
So the voting isn't actually like on its own screen that you do over the course of the day. It's a forced pop-up that you have to
As
answer.
far as I know, we were all in the middle, just doing scouting drops, and we couldn't drop because the voting came up, and Aska was like, "What do I do?" And none of us knew because we have yet to see it.
So-
right now what you're telling me is that if you were to go to the faction play menu,
I'm gonna do it right now.
go to the faction play menu and
Yeah.
find me the voting section.
Okay, I am here. I am in back lanes. I clicked on a defending. There's scouting. It's the usual. I have no idea where to vote, how to vote.
And there's like nothing
Down?
on the left-hand side. There's nothing like within your
It should be,
faction
if
or
you're on the
unit.
Intersphere map.
Yeah.
On the Intersphere map, it should be on the upper right. Or is it only unit leaders that get to vote or some bullshit?
Well, that's the other question.
Oh, there it is. Vote now.
Yeah,
There's a
vote now.
little itty bitty box underneath the timer for vote them remaining.
I don't think
And
most
you can
people even
vote.
notice it. And
I'll take a screenshot.
So shouldn't it be?
Maybe-
So you're saying it's hard to find, is what you're trying to?
I wouldn't say
Like
it's hard
you-
to find.
You could
I
play
think
without
if you're
ever
in the
doing
midst
it.
of a group drop, you don't think about it.
That's interesting. So let me ask you, because this is the other thing I have a question about. So when you make that vote, that is your attack for what, the next 24 hours? Like the next 3?
Well, let me tell you what I'm
ceasefires?
saying.
no,
It says-
until the next ceasefire. It resets every ceasefire.
Wait, what?
Right.
No, hold on. So you're saying that right now North America time zone will vote as to where the Pacific time zone attacks?
Yeah,
Okay, that's
sure,
ridiculous.
that's how it works.
Let me tell you what
I'm
I'm
almost
saying.
positive that's how it works.
It's planets held by your faction, 78. Vote to attack is the top line. And then in the right-hand column, it says allegiance. Traditionally at war, Jade Falcon. Votes in, 9%. Wolf, 16%. Ghost Bear, 12%. Smoke Jaguar, current target, 45%.
Ready up, probably.
Wow.
And then in the left-hand lane, you can get, it says allegiance, traditionally neutral, Lao, traditionally neutral, Marek, traditionally rivals. Since when is Davian a rival of the FRR? Traditionally rivals, Steiner, 8%. Traditionally hostile, Kurita, 10%. And then
People
you can
just
vote.
keep voting Kurita. I keep going Steiner, but they keep going.
You know what they could do,
Intersphere
Xavier?
stuff.
And so here's the suggestion. You go to Xavier, go to the faction play map, just like straight up right now, right? You know
Yeah.
that entire section underneath the career selection places, underneath the overlay.
left-hand side.
That entire left-hand
Yeah.
side could easily be the voting. It could just be there, and then you wouldn't have to click. It would be there.
That's
People
why
would see it.
That's why when they, because I haven't seen this yet because obviously we're mercs. We're not doing the loyalist thing right now. So
They
the
obviously
fact,
haven't run a real website before.
And we'll
If you
never
want
see.
to
We
vote
will
on
never.
something, you have to put a big giant fucking banner on it that says "Vote, do it now," often as possible. Red blinking letters.
Personally, I think it should be on the left
They
side
did
of the
put a red
screen.
box, but
It should be on the left side of the screen. Do you think all that information?
Everyone goes to the menu. Like everyone goes to menus to look for things. You don't need a separate menu screen pop up for all this stuff or an alternate navigation.
Like, what do you need?
I
Like,
wouldn't mind it coming
screen-
up with that thing in the beginning, the news ticker, and telling me to vote right in that news ticker right at the beginning.
so,
Like,
that
as
would
you
be
log
nice.
in,
So-
catch everyone as they log
Yeah.
in.
so Pando, you're the one who was looking at it, right? Do you feel like that voting section, that page that you looked at, do you feel it could fit on the left side of the screen or on the bottom?
Probably, but then there'd just be more floating window things.
At least
Left side
people
would
would
be
see
better to
it.
be able to find stuff. Important stuff that they put on the left side that they want everybody's eyes attracted to. Still counters in the other side.
I'm kind of surprised.
That's interesting.
They're locked windows.
I think, for a casual like me, when you get on you're trying to join a group, you've put your kids to bed, you've got time for maybe 2 CW drops. The last thing I'm going to do is be looking around on the screen of voting.
To
I
try
just
and
want to
figure
get
out.
in with
Yeah.
the unit and get dropped. So, frankly, I never even noticed it before.
So I'm
That's the
kind
honest
of.
truth.
So it's sounding like even in the course of the FRR hub, the voting is not even useful because it seems like you guys are just randomly, aimlessly attacking at this point.
Yeah.
In the old
It
days,
should last for
there would be-
longer. The vote should
yeah.
last for longer.
in the old days, someone would be running around like on a weekend evening, jumping in from the different, TS groups saying, "Hey,
Go
we're all
attack
attacking
this.
this. We're all attacking that." That
So-
just doesn't happen anymore.
So let me toss this out because I thought this was the way it was supposed to work, is that the vote was supposed to be tallied over a 24-hour period. And then the result of the vote at the end of 24 hours would determine where your next 3 attack phases would be. So that all the time zones and all the ceasefires would basically end against the same target.
Nope.
Beats
I
me.
don't know if that's what it is. I felt like I've voted more than once in a day. Maybe I've just not paid.
That seems hard. That just seems
We should look
like
it
a
up.
lot
We
of
can
trouble.
probably look it up and see what it actually does in the last patch notes.
But see, they never clarified how, because I read the patch notes, and all they did was talk about voting and how you get to control where you attack, but they never said which phases control what or when the voting takes effect. I
Well,
mean,
that goes to your theory of maybe it was just set up to fail. No?
So, war planning, payouts and rewards. I can't look at this while we're dropping, but
yeah,
that pretty well.
that's really interesting.
Seems a bit underwhelming.
It does, because I mean, if you talk about the 2 things that were always touted as part of this, scouting was one pillar of what they were adding, and this whole vote control attack window where organization was supposed to help people was like the second pillar.
Now I understand, though, Xavier, why FRR can't control the vote. Because even if FRR has the number of people that you would expect, they wouldn't be able to get those people to all vote at every attack phase.
In every attack window. If it was over a 24-hour period, I could see them
Well,
controlling the vote. But you're just
And how
saying-
many people play once or twice a week versus every day?
Yeah, this is not quick play we're talking about. I mean, CW
Right.
takes the time commitment that
Well-
I frankly don't have for the most part.
So that's another question that I'm going to follow on with here. Do people that never play the faction play tab, are they forced to vote as to who to attack if they're aligned to a house somewhere? Let's say
Yeah.
they pledge allegiance to FRR, but they never drop faction play. Are they getting the same forced voting window in the solo and group queue?
Say that again?
So
I think it's
let's-
probably only comes up when they go to faction play.
maybe, I don't know. So
No, the
that,
voting is only in faction play, yes.
Okay, so it'll only pop up when you're in the faction play window.
Correct.
Okay. I was thinking that little forced voting window that you were talking about could potentially be popping up for solo and group queue matches as well,
That would be cool, but no.
because then it would be forcing people to vote who may never play faction, which would explain sometimes too why you're getting outnumbered in your voting. Does it give you numbers or just straight percentages?
Yeah, there's a bunch of percentage by each tab, and then there are, frankly, it's almost like the way it was before. You'd have certain planets you could drop on and certain you can't. There are a couple planets that are blanked out, and then the rest of them have, the percentages by it. I don't know why they just didn't incorporate it into the old, planets that you could attack on the right-hand column in in phase 2. They could have just added a percentage next
So-
to that. Boom, done.
They're on the
Yeah,
arch, of course.
Yeah, I'm right here with you, Pando. So my
I just hit him
follow-up
with an air
question, my follow-up question to that is, so, all right, and now I'm going to talk about an effective unit problem that we have right now. We're locking up our attack planet, I don't know, 2.5, 3 hours into the attack phase, and basically we're done at that point, and nothing really happens. We'll lock up the planet, we'll get long toms, and then all of a sudden all activity on the planet ceases.
Right,
So-
because nobody wants to face the long tom.
Nobody wants to face the long tom, and nobody wants to counter drop, take the planet all the way back. So they literally just walk away and leave. So basically, you kill CW on that planet. So one of the things that I've been pitching and I've been tweeting to Russ over and over and over again is that if a faction pushes a planet to 100% at any point in time during the attack phase, a second planet should open up to be attacked.
New target.
But the MCs might be too much.
Because, and here's my logic behind it, and it would be another planet within the same faction. Basically, it would force the faction to try and keep defending their one planet so that they don't potentially lose two. So it keeps activity going on a planet when normally there wouldn't be activity going on a planet at, say, like 100%. But then it doesn't all of a sudden kill a large block of player base from playing, and or what potentially might happen, chase them over to another planet for another faction and inadvertently influence that war. So this is what's been happening. We'll lock up our planet and then we'll go do a defense for Ghost Bear. Okay? Well, Ghost Bear is getting, FRR has got the planet up to, let's say, like 65%. All of a sudden, we bring all of our groups over there and we counter drop it back down to like 38% really quickly because we're matching numbers that Ghost Bear couldn't match, and the Smokejag pilots are coming over. So we're inadvertently influencing another war simply because we don't have our own war to fight. I don't know that I agree with that type of result in the matches right now.
New target.
How do you all feel about that?
Are you having that problem? Are you having a problem where you're not getting matches or so after after the planet is full up?
I don't really see the lack of matches being a problem for us, but again, I think it's because
Critical.
we just go wherever the fight is. Doesn't matter. We don't look for like what units or is it good or is it bad. We just go wherever. Bando.
What's up? Yeah, I try to pick whatever's the most populous queue at any given moment. I don't really
Level critical.
defend our planets per se more than any others unless they're in trouble.
Maybe it's a different
That's
place.
interesting.
Maybe it's a different question of play style because with Mercstar, we have enough players that we kind of push the momentum forward. When we're done with the planet, we want to move on to the next one because we have the might to keep going.
We don't want to sit there and just twiddle our thumbs doing the same thing over
So
and
maybe it's a
over.
little bit different for them because they're not really. I mean, okay, actually, a good question. Do you guys have, when you in faction play, do you guys have a goal beyond getting matches? Actually, is a good question.
No.
Do you guys? So the whole faction play thing for you doesn't feel epic and wide in scope. Is what I'm
Not
getting?
at all. I can't
Now,
speak for
all I
Pando,
ever
but
do is
for me,
I
no.
look at what's in the queue and I say, oh, well, is there a lot of populace there? Either we can go there and get a game, or if that specific faction is attacking and being attacked, can we switch to another planet and pull the queue away? That's
That's
all
it.
anybody ever does.
That's interesting, Xavier, because
That's
now
troubling to me.
because with us because MS we have the overarching vision of what we want to do, or at least we did before. Even now, we still have
We
that.
try, but nobody is following it. There's not enough populace of people that have the same idea in order to make it happen.
I didn't even really think about that, Xavier. The
See-
idea that other people aren't playing faction play.
See that bothers me for one reason.
It should
because-
bother all of us because
because-
the reality is we're there is no overarching socioeconomic
What
what
is
we all
the
wanted.
goal? Like what is the goal? What is the unifying factor? How do you actually get these pilots to unify within a faction for a centralized goal? Because that's what this is supposed to symbolize.
Xavier, with MS, we come up with our own goals. We usually say the goal is to reach Terra with dead Smoke Jaguar. We're gonna do it because we did it twice. We're gonna do it again. Or the goal is to destroy Jade Falcon. That's what we want to do. We're gonna do that. Then we try to affect that change.
I would have been happy if they would have at least given level 20s a choice whether to reset or not.
Oh,
only
God.
Boot phases, because you're loyalist and you've been 20 since.
That's a
the end
really
of
good
phase
point.
one, it's kind of derpy.
Yeah, why are you even still playing?
It's total bullshit.
I came up with a solution, by the way, for that. To me, there should just be prestige. Just do the prestige system. You know, people. So my idea had to do with this. They should make it so that after you hit rank 20, there should be rank 20 increments for infinity, essentially. And every time you reach rank 20.1, rank 20.2, rank 20 or 0.01 or whatever, and it gives you a higher rank of 20 with a percentage based of the reward that you received at like a little bit better.
At level 1.
Yeah, but it's like it's a rolling reward. It's an absolute rolling reward, and it should be a little bit better than, say, you could pick one of the ranks. You could say that. Let me look at my old ranks that I'll never actually play again because I'll never be loyalist.
Even if they bumped it up and made it exponentially harder with each level, sort of like they do with a character level or whatever, and just let it keep going. You would eventually reach a level where it's so hard that you can never get to the next level, so it would end.
They could do
comment on the server that this is what Knight's Corner is doing. Most of the players are rank 20, so they are going through the Merc rewards. But that doesn't really apply if you're a loyalist. You can't go through the Merc rewards unless you change the way.
Not to mention, as long as you don't, if you hit 20, you can quit. But if you're not 20, you can't quit. Because you won't get you'll have to work back all those points that you lost for all those ranks that you'll have to go through again. So the 20s can quit. The 20s can quit. The system allows you to quit.
I look at people like Pandu and others in the FRR who have been loyalists, for a long time and are ranked 20. Why did we introduce a new system where they either have to decide, I don't want to be a loyalist anymore and I'll go Merc, or switch factions? People who are loyalists, let's face it,
I got a phone call.
A lot of them are probably, lore players. They're playing because there's an emotional attachment to something in the game, and that's what they want to do. But the game mechanism is now forcing them to stop playing for the reason that they started playing in the first place, and that's absurd.
And so the thing is, PGI doesn't actually have anybody at rank 20. Nobody in the PGI offices has played Faction Warfare beyond long enough. I'd be surprised if any of them are beyond rank 6.
10.
Rank 6. I'm going to say rank 6. I'm going that low, Xavier. That's how low I'm going. I would be surprised if anybody at PGI is beyond rank 6, because nobody in PGI is rank 20. Nobody. They're not ranked 20 in anything. Because they don't actually play Faction Warfare. None of them. I think not a single person in that office is ranked 20. Or close.
For the longest time, was a white knight for PGI because I played this game purely for nostalgia because I'm an old guy and I look at it as this reminded me of MechWarrior and BattleTech when I was a kid. That's why I play the game. But as I've played it longer...
I'm an addict.
Yeah, as I've played it longer and I've actually started to enjoy the gameplay, when they make these ham-fisted changes for no real reason, I get why some of the loyalists and some of the founders and some of the people who've just been around for a long time get so frustrated because it makes no sense.
Well, so you've got 3 of the most actively dropping pilots in MS right here in the same channel with you. I mean, FBJ, we might even actually have to put him into MechWarriors Anonymous. I'll be honest with you, the amount of time that he spends in this game.
It isn't even about time. I look at it as you have this title that you have a lot of people who have come to it with, I don't want to be too melodramatic, but they love the title. They love the IP. They love the game. And it's like they're going out of their way.
For 36 hours. First day of CB phase 1.
They're going out of their way to harm that community, and I don't get it.
And let's be clear here. We're not here to just bash PGI. We're just here to highlight where the game falls short.
What do we do, Xavier, when Mercstar hits rank 20? We have bought ourselves a reprieve. Like, PGA has bought themselves a reprieve with this new Merc system.
Momentarily with us.
But with the Merc system, we have 20 new ranks. Nobody's whining in Mercstar right now about going anywhere to go to this so that we can rank up in this or that or this.
Yeah, because everyone's
Once
right
rank 20 hits,
well,
Mercstar,
10
everybody...
for Mercs. That's the other thing. We only have 10 ranks.
Right, I'm sorry. Once we hit rank 10, but it's the same amount of XP needed. But once we hit rank 10 with Mercs, what is going to happen?
Merc Bear.
We'll go. Loyalist Mercstar.
When you join a loyalist faction, at least FRR, they actually warn you that leaving the faction will make you a deserter. It actually uses the word deserter on the screen.
I think we're going to go. No, you're right.
Pretty
No,
impressive
right,
that
and
they
the
actually went
deserter,
that far with it.
and the deserter. So here's the funny part: the deserter thing. Mech bay tours were a thing. People did that because that's really a good way of getting mech bays in this game. It encourages you to play in different places.
Play, blah blah blah.
But now you can't even do mech bay tours.
But see, let's be honest. You can't do mech bay tours within the same season because this is technically season 3.
Right.
If you look on your screen.
Right.
We are in.
I understand they're
3.
also really, really, really paranoid about controlling the economy of the game.
Right.
They don't
What
want to
economy?
lose the revenue stream from it.
What economy? I'm sitting on 250 million C-bills that I'm not even using,
Online.
and yet I still buy MC and use it.
Nominal.
How
That-
long have you been playing?
Let's see. I've been playing. This will be 2.5 years. So I skipped the first year and the closed beta.
Yeah, see, I've only been playing for a year. I
Well-
have every module open. I have 117 mechs. I sold 90 some at one point. They need more
maybe
to
they need
attract
maybe
people.
they need to turn on a thing to allow you to buy mech bays for an extreme amount of C-bills, and then also allow you to gift things to people within your unit and buy shit for them.
10
Oh,
to
you know
15
what?
million, 20 million a C-bill, 20 million a mech bay or something?
You know what?
Yeah,
Oh, no,
20
no,
million
no,
a mech
no, no.
bay.
50 million a mech bay. You have to make it a massive sink. Massive sink.
True, 50 million would probably be a good idea, honestly.
That and then I actually like the thought of gifting stuff to people within your own unit because and not necessarily to like break the game,
Your
but
coffers build up your pilots, and then
Yeah,
if you gave that
like-
pilot, as soon as you give that pilot a mech, it's gone.
How-
It's in your
actually-
inventory, and you don't ever see it again.
but you would have like a per pilot limit. Like you could give them like a one-time gift up to like 20 million or something like that.
Have you guys managed to get your hands on any of the MC rewards? I'm sorry to butt in, Xavier, but I actually think this is a good question.
We randomly got
few.
30 MC. I don't know why. I haven't looked at it again.
So, how do you feel about that stuff?
I don't
The-
know how we even got it. It's kind of dumb.
Does it is MC rewards even going to affect how your pilots play? Is
No,
it
hell
going to
no.
entice them to do
Not
anything?
ours at all. But we need to focus more on CW because of that. We'll tell you when we've got about 5 or 6 planets for a week. I think that's the only way you'd make any money from it.
Well, so Mercstar, we've done the math. If we hold at least 6 planets for the next year, we'll have enough to give every pilot 1 mech bay.
Yeah, that's not
and-
enough.
We're
and that's if
working
they
towards
go-
our goal.
And that's if they go on sale on New Year's, like they normally
That's
do.
ridiculous.
New target acquired.
So what are these incentives?
Critical.
Because, and here's the funny thing. So, yeah, we can earn 15 MC a day for the planets that we own, but they cap us at 90 MC per cycle. So, really, we never have to hold any more than 6 planets. to
Yeah,
max
the
out our
MC
per
rewards
ceasefire earnings.
are, and he's hoping. And by the way, Russ has designed this to break us up. I mean, it was a Twitter post within the last 2 weeks where Russ was really saying that just wait until till the units start breaking up for the MC.
Well, he did a shitty job on that then.
He sprinkled some pennies around and then said, "Oh, the peasants are gonna go crazy when they see this." Like, that is what happened. I don't
Bring out your
understand.
dead. Bring out your dead.
Acquired.
And missile bow.
Like
Gotta
it's
hide behind a
it's
tree just so both of them
insane.
will stop shooting me.
It shows how detached or I don't know how like he just doesn't he has no pulse on the community if he thinks that any amount of MC that he'll put down that isn't all the MC in the game
That was
is going to break up communities.
Most
But-
of us have a fairly good sense of what the C builds versus the MC are worth, I think, just by looking at the number and not having to do math or shit on it, to know that it's just nothing that they're giving us.
Right, but he seems to think it's actually something. That's the problem. He thinks it's something. How do we help this man see? I mean, I guess the round tables are what we're trying to do. We're trying to, we
Get
really
a
hope.
community that's stronger. Who knows?
No, like
Give
he
them an
actually-
idea that makes the community more appealing to some, like, allow bronies to skin their mechs.
But see, here's the funny thing. Even if we gave him an idea, would he
We're gonna
even
die.
listen? Like,
Not
even
gonna die.
because
I already
because
Get out of here, you little.
I feel like we've given like decent ideas,
Target destroyed.
Oh.
and
That would be an
no
enemy
one's
too.
listening.
Like, how do you guys feel Russ's or PGI's communication in general has been?
Social communication.
Do you think they
What is
actually
that?
Be right
listen
back.
to anything, or is it just like what they handpick in Twitter every now and then? And
which hasn't even been very much
Yeah,
recently.
that is a point of contention that I have, is because I did a Twitter account just to ask for save drop decks. I posted 3 times, and then it was pretty clear that he was not going to respond, and so I quit Twitter, because that's the only reason I even did a Twitter account.
That's funny.
There is no communication. It's an illusion.
so there's no communication on Twitter.
but
There's
they-
no communication on the forum. The
But they
community
have a
manager. The community manager isn't a community manager. She's a pretty face that they put on Twitch every now and then to giggle.
He has posted on the forums a couple of times that I've seen. She does actually. It's apparent that she is monitoring the forums, but to what end?
What? Well, my problem is
But
you say that she's
who's-
monitoring the
who's-
forums, but I
Who's the
say to
audience?
you say she's moderating the forums. I say
I didn't
she
use the word
doesn't
moderate.
No, I said no. Monitor. You said she's monitoring. I'm going to go out and tell you that she doesn't know enough about the game to even know what to look for.
That could very well be. I'm not making any comment on that. I'm just saying it's irrelevant, because they can be watching all they want, but if they don't participate, and if someone says, I think this is a really big deal, I've spent $1,000 on this game and now I'm not going to spend any more money, and it's met with silence, and that person is never seen again, and they don't seem to care, what kind of message does that send? They're not communicating. They may be monitoring, but it doesn't do any good.
But on top of it too, and this is something else too. Monitoring the forums is all well and good, but what's the actual audience percentage that actually goes on the forums? And
It's new players looking for information, and it's bitter
Because they have
vets
no
who
idea where to
are
go to get it.
venting.
That's the
Right,
only place
so-
they can get that information.
so the casual
Yep.
people that actually enjoy the game, that want to see it grow and that want to make things better, don't visit the forums.
No, I don't think so.
If I happen to see a good post when I type MWO something that I'm searching for, and it looks like a good post on the forums when it comes up in my search, then I click on it and read it. Other than that, I don't even go there.
Yeah,
I'll be
in
honest
fact,
with
the
you.
match we just played, we're on the other
I'm a
side. We're
unit leader.
several other forum warriors, and I think most people on the forums are there because they want to help new players, and they're trying to, and that's the way they see that they can actually affect the population by trying to be positive. But there are a lot of people there who are just really, 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 really mad, and that doesn't do the game any good.
Well, and not only that, I can't tell you how many posts I've seen on the forums where new people get absolutely reamed when they ask a very, observant question that someone who hasn't played the game for 3 years
Yep.
knows.
Oh, I've been there.
It's
No,
a
I'll tell
very
you though.
demeaning.
Wait, there's one thing that's worse than a player and people harshing them. Freaking people that are basically like, Oh, Mech Warrior's over for me. I'm ending my life. It's the same people that would like kill themselves. Okay, I'm sorry. Suicide's not a good answer ever, but when you're doing it on a forum, leaving a community because everything's so horrible.
Do you know what? Hold on. I'm going to tell you right now. I'm going to tell you right now. You know who also committed suicide on the forums and said, I'm leaving, I'm never coming back because it's so terrible? You know who did that? Do you know who did that? Russ fucking Bullock committed suicide on the forum and never went back.
Wait, what?
He's never been there. He's gone. He doesn't post there. He posts official shit and nothing else. Nobody in PGI, the entire company as a whole, committed suicide and never went back to the forum. They're gone.
Now, Tina is the only one I've ever seen post in recent times.
And you know what? Tina, and my problem with Tina as a community manager is that it's pretty clear she doesn't understand the game enough to even help with the problems that we have. Everything that we've discussed about community warfare, she doesn't know anything about. And even if we brought them up on the forum, she wouldn't be able to bring it to anybody because she wouldn't know that they're problems in the first place. Because she would never drop CW with us.
I actually have a theory on this.
They are real people, you know. They're not just. We got to look at them as real people too. I've been a little scared a couple times in a few of those things, looking at Russ talking on the microphone in their thing. He almost like he was drunk or something a couple times.
He has been drunk a couple of times.
Yeah.
But I mean, like beyond that point, like where maybe he's doing it when he shouldn't be sometimes.
I think you know my personal theory on this is that like looking at phase 3. The community, whether it's MS, small units, casuals, whatever, they said they wanted this interactive environment that we were all promised back in closed beta of, you know, planets having meaning, and if you took a planet, it would have meaning. If you lost a planet, it would have meaning. And I honestly think, you know, giving them the benefit of the doubt, they looked at phase 3 and said, see, we're giving you this MC. See, it is interactive.
And the problem is but the problem is that they're so separated that they actually think that shit is important to us. So you're right. You're maybe right.
Exactly my point. I think they're looking at it going, the reason we don't listen to you know, whiners on the forums or on Twitter.
We give you what you want.
We already gave you what you wanted.
We gave you meaning. It's like it's almost like $10 free.
Okay,
but you know what? So
how many to affect change? How many of us are in Canada?
Not enough.
Well, I can scroll up and down TeamSpeak right now, MS TeamSpeak, and I see three Canadian flags. I see 3 Canadian flags, and I see like 35 American flags.
So, out of those people, we got to get somebody that has the right opinions, that actually has like a degree or a certification in something to do with video game programming or something, and then convince them to go work for PGI and change things.
You know what we need? You know, I have an idea actually, Xavier. Based on what he just said, I kind of brainstormed an idea real quick. You know what we could do? We could have the next roundtable involving everybody we've ever had on the roundtable, plus Sean Lang and Bombadil, and maybe we can get a line to some people.
Yeah, if you can get those two on, or God forbid, someone from PGI.
Because that's what we need.
And start a post on the forums telling everybody to get really fucking good at using the CryEngine and everything else that they do, and learning this shit and knowing about it up to the point where somebody has to actually buy like a $3,000 piece of AutoCAD software or some bullshit in order to actually render and generate what they're doing for this game. Because that's
I don't know enough about programming, but I know that Terragato in the FRR hub, he has actually created some maps and done some work.
Oh my God! Wouldn't it be amazing? Wouldn't it be amazing if we could get some fucking community maps?
Start a post, but just submitting content. You know, like something that I said earlier. Maybe start easy and say, hey, if we could get a data table of all of the fucking descriptions for the planets that exist, load them. You know, and start pushing stuff like that at them and seeing if they'll accept the work that we've done for them.
I don't think they would.
Do you think the community would be capable of making maps? Do you think that we have people within the community who could actually make some maps and would give them away for free?
There might be a few, not a huge amount, but when you get to people that are good at doing that stuff, they probably also get paid buku money.
So personally, I actually think the Mech Warrior community is actually one of the most talented communities
Because
of
most of
all
us
the
are
online
old
games.
people.
Well, here's why I say that. If any, did Pando, Bud, did either of you play Mech Warrior 4 Mercenaries online?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so
No,
Mech
no,
Warrior-
I
Mech-
shouldn't say that. I did not play online. Forgive me.
You didn't play
I did
online.
play online.
No.
Okay,
I
did
not.
you-
I had an
Did-
ISDN line.
Did you happen to download back when Mech Warrior Leagues was actually a thing before Necromancer passed away? Did you happen to download the map packs that they had on there, that the community map packs? There were 3 of them.
Yeah, I went all the way through to the Mech Tech stuff. I was still playing the Mech Tech version over a year online.
So
Still
those
playing Mech Warrior 4.
So those 3 map packs were all community developed maps. In total, we had over 750 maps by the time that game basically tanked. If you had all the maps and all the packs. And that was a very small community that
And
was
even
dying at the
if-
time.
And even if some of those maps are shit, of course PGI will be the one to vet which ones get into the game. We're not even going to
Huge amount
say
of beta posts that they destroyed that were worth something that could have actually put the direction that they needed to go on the original forums that they had for the beta posts before they locked them out and killed them.
Sorry.
We're asking for suggestions of what features do you. We're trying to release a game, trying to get to our launch state, gold or whatever. They actually went live and they were sending.
I mean, even
betas and stuff.
Even if they wanted to control the objects that go in the map and the textures that are on
make
the
sure
map,
there's nothing secret in
could-
there.
Yeah, they could create an editor with all the objects already predefined and just let us assemble them in different ways, in different colors, in
That's the
different
problem.
shapes, in
It's
different
hodgepodge
formats.
together. There's no editor that they would be able to create because.
How do they create
our
maps?
engine
What do they
is.
use?
I think it's probably like a 3D like generator, like something like AutoCAD.
Well,
I
no.
would guess.
What-
Or we
no, actually, CryEngine actually has a map creator.
Is it what they use?
Yeah, but I think actually generating the objects that go inside of that, I think it's more like a framework in order to put objects
no.
in various
No.
places. So if you looked at the wireframe to it without all those like these fancy points on mountains and
Oh, yeah.
buildings and all that stuff.
Yes, you are correct, sir. Yes, they build the buildings and stuff in wireframe models and something else.
Right.
But they add them to the CryEngine library.
Because there's two
What
different
I'm
things.
saying-
There's models. There's models, which are the things that are actually built in modeling software, and then
Right.
there's the map assets themselves.
Yeah.
They're different
Yeah.
things.
Yeah,
So-
the map,
But I think
the
they
map
have to
assets-
actually render the entire map as well, from the way that it's.
Well,
done.
the lighting. So
design
if
and
if it's done anything like most games, after they've placed everything, they do have to render the lighting and all that sort of stuff. But that stuff is not. This is not new things. The models and the assets are already in the game, and so they could limit us. Xavier, to the assets that are already within the game, so
Yeah,
not to
and that's what
increase
I'm
the
saying.
size of the file client.
Right. Exactly.
Oh well, that
that's what
depends
I
how they
would say.
do it, because those assets might also be baked into the map. So it might be one of those things,
Well-
Xavier, where the textures are actually within each map.
So I think
Yeah,
I think it
they're
is.
rendering the entire map as like an overall large object in order to contain
Yes.
the other objects.
Yes,
So it doesn't use
so-
the same texture. So the same building in a different map doesn't use the same exact texture file. They are already
Right.
within the map.
Right. So that's actually.
So that would
that's
increase file
actually-
size.
It would increase file size, but see, that's where they would need to modify how their maps work. Instead of having a flat file that's completely rendered in one object, they need to have objects that are re-rendered, and then your actual installer file is a whole lot smaller because I don't render the same building 75 times in the same map. I render it's one file that just gets placed 75 times.
Well, we'd have to know exactly how they're doing their maps. Whether they would still vet them, but guess what? Vetting is probably a whole lot of faster process than making them.
Even
And-
if it's not maps, this community has a lot to offer, and I think if they would,
But a lot of their map creation is something to do with a heavy rendering process where they have to go in and adjust each mountain and each valley and everything and make it line up with
So-
a wireframe as
But see,
well.
then that goes back to, and this is
It should,
same
but
thing in
that doesn't mean
MechWarrior 4.
those custom acts still should not exist though, because PGI can still once again, because they're not
They can
making
still
the
approve it.
maps, they're not making
can
the
approve
maps.
it.
They have to vet them. They would still vet them, but guess what? Vetting is probably a whole lot of faster process than making them.
Even
And-
if it's not maps, this community has a lot to offer, and I think if they would just take advantage of that, it doesn't have to be maps. It could be other things. It could be, putting in freaking text descriptions for the planets.
Just polishing.
There's so much that it could do to polish the game, and they're not interested.
Doesn't make them money. You know what makes them money?
mechs.
Got in.
Backpacks.
Want to buy a mech pack? I mean, I'm like, one of the things that drove me wild was that one point during the Phase 3 release, there was a bug. I forgot what the bug was. All I know is that the
drop deck bug.
follow-up Twitter post for whatever that bug was, hey, look, Cyclops. Like, his answer to
Yeah.
the bug was releasing the Cyclops. It's just
Well,
absolutely
if
frustrating.
they're smart about it and they just want to string us along forever, they would generate a bazillion different mechs and then slowly just release them time as they needed money.
Maybe that's what they're already doing, though, and that's the other thing.
Yeah.
So, at what point does this particular community put their foot down? And I don't.
It doesn't.
I don't
It
think it
doesn't.
doesn't. I don't think it does, because I think this community is full of people who are, unfortunately, old
they
enough
just
and
wanna
have
own-
enough
they just
money
wanna
to
own
get
mechs.
shiny mechs, and they don't particularly care about
Well-
gameplay. Me, as a young
Get the fuck out of
whippersnapper,
here.
I think I care too much about gameplay.
Target acquired.
You know, my thing is I want to own mechs that I've never been able to own in any other game before.
New target
Like
Holy
that's
shit.
actually interesting to me.
Sorry. Their whole
But
team just came
but
out
are
of the
they
corner.
doing that with? Are they going to be able to get away with that forever? Until
Not forever. They'll eventually run out of lure mechs. But you got a solid 8 years worth of mech supply.
so
I would
there's
not
no.
put it past them that they have a 4-year plan based on the IP license.
Just to sell
And they're
mechs,
out.
essentially, and not really to sell
Yep.
content.
I don't think they give a damn about the game anymore, and I think the last town hall shows it.
Oh God,
He did
so
say
apathetic.
New target
Like-
Sorry,
acquired.
but I totally was a hardcore white knight. Yeah, I am grateful for the game, that sort of thing. But I am to the point
But
now
you-
where I
you know
truly
why?
believe that they don't give a damn.
But here's the thing. Here's the funny thing, and it's funny that you bring up that because last town hall, Russ spent 30 minutes telling you how lucky you were that he made the game,
Target
Yeah.
Yep.
destroyed.
and I think that might be. Did you notice that part? Because
I did.
Oh, hell yes.
during that town hall, he was very clear. God, you're so lucky that I made this game because nobody else would have made this game. By the way, I made this game. If you would notice, nobody would have made this game. Aren't you so
Wanna-
happy that I made it?
Want to buy a mech pack?
Would you like to buy a mech
There's a
pack?
couple of
Here's a
people on the
night
forums
giver.
who have proposed getting some angel investors together to see if they can buy the damn thing from him.
Hey, the Mercstar nuclear option is let's just buy it.
Yeah.
Target acquired.
Because he really did. He spent a lot of time last town hall telling you guys how lucky you were that nobody else would have touched this IP in this way, but we made it. And
Give
you
me
know,
an online version of MechWarrior 3 and I would be happy.
but the funny part is that, you know, yeah, we get it. Nobody would have made this game, but that doesn't mean that you need to suck at making it. And that's the problem. You
That
Trust
was
me.
cool.
may be the only
I
So
one.
much frustration.
I understand the point of making money. I'm not saying he shouldn't be in this to make money, because we all know money makes the world go round.
Target
But
destroyed.
he's not taking advantage of free labor in areas in which he can take advantage of it, which, in my
would
opinion,
pay,
is a smart
I
business
would pay
decision.
a subscription service to allow to give me access to just the fucking text files, sorry, so that I could type in some of the lore for the mechs. I would pay for that. I would give that to them.
If they
So-
knew
They're
what
not
they
gonna
were
do
doing,
that.
though,
So
like
not
I said,
only-
give it
so
to
not
them
only
in
would
a
it be
CSV,
free
and if
labor-
they don't put it in the game, they don't know what they're doing.
Not only would it be free labor, you would actually pay to work.
Hell yeah.
Activated.
I
you-
actually wrote a letter to Russ telling him that.
And, like, seriously, okay, someone has to hear
Where's
this.
this guy?
We have people that not
Gotta
only
be
are
in the
willing to
circle
work for
somewhere.
free.
Oh, there it
He's
goes.
dead. We have people that are not only willing to work for free, they're
He's willing to pay you.
to work for you.
put it on the forums. Give us a subscription service to allow all of the people out here who are asking to have access to the code so that they can put maps together, so that they can put lore in, so that they can just freaking port Sarna information over to the mech descriptions and the planetary descriptions. Silence.
They wouldn't even have to expose all of the code to you.
Just
Just
to
certain
expose
sections of
anything,
it.
I'll send them a freaking Word document. It exists. It would take one person a weekend to put all that into the game. They won't do it.
Pass it through me. I could clean the data.
How
file
many
first,
employees
too.
are at PGI's office? Like 50 to 60, right? That's the
I have
50,
no
50,
idea.
50 to 60 is the number he's always touted.
50 to
depending
60
upon-
people, yet just what are they doing? Are they all artists? Are they all
No, no, no,
artists?
So probably 2 marketing. So we know what Paul and Russ do. I'm assuming I know they have the 3 people that are doing the modeling and the graphing and the painting. Then you've got Tina, who does the community stuff, and then you've got QA and engineers that aren't even game; it's just back end.
QA, how many people?
2, 3, maybe. Not enough.
Robust is the word
So-
you're looking for.
But see, all their QA is done automatically through scripting, anyways. So that leaves us, let's say, 5 to 6 system engineers,
And a janitor.
and administrators. You're probably looking at maybe 10 to 12 developers, actual developers.
And then a
I
janitor.
might be on the high side. And then you've got marketing, administrative, HR. Yeah, that'd probably be about it.
And a janitor.
Yeah. Well, I think that's bringing us up on 90 minutes. What do you got, Sarah? That's like
Yeah, that's about it.
that's my clock.
And I'm
So-
sorry, guys. I feel like this whole thing has just turned into one big bitch session about
No,
PGI. So
No, it hasn't because in all honesty, you bring the point of a loyalist, like as far as community warfare goes. Because again, we're not even talking really about the whole game. We're just talking about the aspect of the game that we really care the most about, and that's community warfare. Because if this game is going to survive more than a year from this point, it has to have an in-depth, engaging community warfare, faction warfare game mode. And everything that we're hearing, everything that we're seeing is that it's not in-depth enough, it's not engaging enough, it has shortcomings, it has holes, even from a loyalist standpoint. Things that were touted as being great and were selling points for Phase 3 aren't even that great when it actually comes to Phase 3, such as the loyalist voting.
You know, and we didn't even touch on actual game mechanics, by the way. This discussion was really like the mechanics alone is an entirely different discussion.
Yeah.
that-
Melee.
It-
Melee.
We could really spend an entire roundtable just talking about MOBAs. MechWarrior as a
Yeah.
MOBA.
Wouldn't it be great if we could whap somebody with an axe and an axe man or something?
It
Or a
would be
patch man?
personally, I honestly want to somehow work towards having our next roundtable involve you guys plus everybody else we've had on the roundtable, and then someone from PGI. If
Like
we
literally
It'll
make it-
never
Atlas is supposed to
happen.
punch. You know how many images there are of Atlas is punching through things' cockpits?
I don't think the
Smashing the whole
CryEngine
face in.
engine can handle it. I just don't think it's there.
I think they
Yeah.
would have to. They
That's
would
what
have
I'm
to
saying. There's
upgrade the engine.
limitations to the engine that we also have
Right.
to think about.
Yep.
Too.
They would have
Right.
to upgrade the engine for melee. I
And-
honestly
and-
believe that.
Yeah, I think so too. But also, just to turn
But what
turn
about-
the other cheek here
Dude,
for a moment,
Russ,
I think we've been really hard
one
on
suggestion.
PGI here. Go ahead, Pando.
Team release. One thing they needed to do. Okay. Solaris. They would have released the game with a Solaris mode for Steam. Everybody versus everybody. Probably would have been a big hit on Steam, but I don't think it was because they didn't do it. So.
Well, I think there isn't that
I
the
told
plan?
him.
Wasn't that on
I
the
told
last
Russ
town
that.
hall?
He's probably
that
afraid
coming?
of buckets. He's probably afraid of his buckets being too many, even though he
I
increased
told him
the
that when
amount
he
of.
came over and talked to us on our TeamSpeak.
Yeah. Even though he divided the CW buckets and we told him it was too much division, and all of a sudden he collapsed them again.
But I'm still of the idea that Russ actually set that up to fail, Xavier. I'm beginning to get the idea that the CW buckets thing.
I totally agree.
I think he's actually, and you know what? I personally I wanted it to fail because I wanted the queues to collapse, but I wouldn't have wanted it to fail because it was set up to fail. You know, I wanted it to fail for my own reasons, being I didn't
But what
think it
is
was a
his
good idea.
motivation for that?
His motivation for that was to get the solo queue to shut up.
I mean, I think that's a very valid point. That and very
It was
much
to get
so.
them to shut up. That's
Be like, look,
Well,
I gave you what you
I
wanted.
can tell you
didn't
right
show
now, I
up.
forum warrior enough that they haven't shut up.
Yeah, they haven't.
and personally, and I want to say I'm on the side of I didn't think splitting the queues was a good idea, but I'm not one who would say set it up to fail. I was not
Right.
aware that Mercs couldn't drop with. Oh, you couldn't.
say what we said before. I think you're giving them too much credit. I think that's
See-
way too Machiavellian for Russ to have thought of.
Yeah, that's. I would
No,
actually,
no, I
agree.
disagree because of the way he was speaking about it. He had already, for instance, okay,
It was
like
almost
so.
like he had made his decision.
He had made his decision to put the queues back together before because there was the point a week
a
before
good
where he
point.
said
He only
by
did give it a week.
Thursday. He said on Thursday, if things haven't changed by Thursday, I'm going to put the queues back together. But let's say that he's saying that out loud. Who's he saying that to? Who's going to hear that? Did he put that post on the front screen in the game where people actually
No,
were?
Twitter.
He just put it on
Twitter.
Twitter where maybe 1% of the people are going to see that. The words that you're speaking are not hitting home to the people who are actually playing the game. So to me, it actually absolutely shows that he set it up to fail.
So Russ
you
Bullock
could
has
be right.
5,000. Russ Bullock has 5,643 followers. We know just faction warfare players alone in this game is somewhere between 13 and 23,000. So that's anywhere from 30% of his player base, even if it's all players, to as little as 15% of his player base would have even seen the tweet if they were checking Twitter.
Within the
As
week
enjoyable
period of
as
time.
this has been, guys, it's depressing the
Yep.
hell out of me.
I know, right? But anyways, I do want to ask you guys. Thanks for showing up on short notice and coming over and chatting with us.
Our pleasure.
Yep, and
Yep.
we'll see if we can't get something together here in the future where we can get a whole bunch of people in a room and see. The more of these we do, the more Sater and I hear the same thing from everyone, every group, every person. Like PGI wants us to think that there's this huge divide in opinion amongst the community, and every time we talk with everyone, if there's anything we learn, everyone basically thinks the exact same thing. So I'm not sure where this divide in opinion is actually coming from because we aren't seeing it.
I think I would have
I
been
think the divide in opinion is the divided opinion from what they want out of their company and whatever else, and this being they
And then
don't
whatever
want
the player
this
base wants.
game to define their company, but I think it might just be that way, but they don't want to accept it.
right.
That's a very valid
That
point.
This game is the one title that's going to make them money, and all they can do is work on this to make more money until they can actually branch.
What was the
out to
last one?
something more.
Transverse.
Yeah.
Let's not go there.
But all right, well that's gonna wrap it up for us. Bud, Pando, I'd like to thank you guys for joining us.
Pleasure.
Yep.
Yep.
I'm gonna go back over there and visit people because they're probably like, "Where the fuck is he on Friday night?" Anyway, so
Yeah.
All right.
later.
All right,
Later.
see ya. Thanks, guys.
User disconnected from your channel.
Thanks everybody for watching. I'm gonna cut the stream and I'll be back up in a second or two, just making things easier for me to find.
Yep, I'm gonna cut mine too.